From the outside, it looks like a story of unstoppable progress. Towering complexes, cutting-edge machinery, and massive supply chains, all promising endless efficiency. But beneath those promises lie questions that have sparked debate for years. Questions about where our meat really comes from, how these megasystems handle animals, and what secrets might be hiding behind the scenes. Some say it's just the march of technology. Others argue there's a reason these facilities guard their inner workings so closely. Is it a bold stride toward feeding the world, or a system that exposes living creatures to more risk than anyone is ready to admit? Anyone who steps onto a modern farm might be dazzled by the automated cattle restraint systems. Conveyor belts hum softly, gates slide open on cue, and cattle flow forward as if guided by an invisible hand. The Pastello system, often referenced as a prime example of this innovation, shows how far we've come from the time when farmhands struggled with restless livestock and unpredictable conditions. By using motorized forcing race modules, pneumatic gates, and carefully structured passageways, many claim these setups make both workers and animals safer. The theory goes that with calmer handling, injuries plummet and stress for the animals diminishes. But the real conversation begins when you look deeper. Critics argue that although these systems aim to enhance efficiency and safety, they can also create a detachment that encourages higher throughput without pausing to consider an animal's experience. It's a slippery slope, according to some activists who believe focusing on speed risks turning creatures into cogs in a production line. Farmers who operate such systems often respond by saying there is no perfect way to manage large herds, and that modern technology does help reduce stress when used correctly. They mention adjustable width race walls that keep animals from turning around, along with anti-backing gates preventing chaotic reversals. Each step is sold to the public as an innovation, ensuring humane treatment. Yet, beneath the marketing language, murmurs remain about the rushed pace required to keep the business profitable. The DGS stunning box stands at the center of many such discussions. Sold as a futuristic marvel, it moves seamlessly to position each animal, ensuring minimal struggle during the final phase. The box is praised for its ability to accommodate different sizes of cattle, from young calves to hefty bulls, all with the flick of an electric or pneumatic control. Proponents say it's an elegant solution that saves time while sparing animals the panic they might feel in older, cruder systems. They point out how dark coloring and enclosed structures limit visual distractions, theoretically calming the animal. Yet, in certain circles, people question just how calm these creatures can be in such a setting. Tales circulate of animals panicking against the steel walls, aided by anecdotal footage that surfaces online every so often. Supporters of DGS technology argue these incidents are often outliers, perhaps triggered by human error rather than the design itself. But as with any technology dealing with living beings, the narrative is never that simple. Beyond the DGS box, there's a bigger conversation about the line between humane processes and industrial-scale efficiency. Many facilities tout their capacity to dispatch up to 80 heads of cattle an hour, sometimes more. At that scale, is it truly possible to inspect every detail, ensuring zero mishandling or stress? Investigations by certain groups claim the need for speed can lead to oversights, even if official company reports champion the success of high-capacity lines. And while this debate rages on, others look at the bigger picture. Even if the final moments of each animal's life are made quieter, what about the months leading up to that point? No matter how advanced a system appears, every large-scale livestock operation grapples with an age-old problem: manure. The wealth of technology controlling the front end, from feed distribution to medical checks, doesn't negate the daily mountain of waste. Scraping and removing that waste is essential for both hygiene and the environment. The simplest approach involves manual labor, workers with shovels hauling it away. On more advanced farms, mechanical scrapers attached to tractors or robotic crawlers drag heaps of manure to designated pits. Though these solutions seem straightforward, they occasionally trigger controversies of their own. One misplaced effort can lead to vast quantities of waste runoff, contaminating local waterways and prompting local communities to file complaints. When you talk to farm owners about manure management, Many stress that the frequency of cleaning depends on the number of animals and the conditions at hand. Some might do it once per day, while large-scale operations often clean multiple times daily. But the underlying question is, how effectively are they disposing of it afterward? Environmental watchdogs say that simply scraping and piling it in massive lagoons doesn't solve the root problem. These open-air pits can emit harmful gases and risk catastrophic breaches in extreme weather. Farming advocates counter that improvements are continuous, with more stringent oversight and better regulations stepping in to minimize any negative impact. Still, stories of fish kills in nearby rivers or residents complaining of foul odors are enough to fuel the argument that the current system still needs drastic improvements. Nowhere is this tension more evident than in the story of Smithfield Foods. Once just another regional pork producer, Smithfield ballooned into a global powerhouse, controlling everything from genetics to grocery shelves. The company proudly touts its vertical integration, boasting that controlling multiple stages of production ensures higher quality outcomes. But others see a different reality, a behemoth that sets the rules for smaller farmers while dictating industry standards in a manner that may favor profit over the planet or local communities. The fact that Smithfield was sold to a Chinese conglomerate, the WH Group, some years ago only added to the speculation. Critics worried foreign ownership might shift priorities away from American farms, while others saw new investment that could enhance sustainability. One cornerstone of Smithfield's rise is the Tar Heel plant in North Carolina, often described as one of the largest of its kind on Earth. With the capacity to handle tens of thousands of animals a day, it stands as a testament to the global appetite for pork. Critics have pointed out that at this scale, any oversight can become a colossal disaster. Indeed, local lawsuits have highlighted everything from foul odors to alleged water contamination. Environmental groups have demanded that Smithfield take stricter measures, install better waste management systems, and reduce the burden on nearby communities. Some residents say they've been fighting for years with little improvement. Smithfield's representatives argue they've poured millions into environmental technologies, from lagoon covers that minimize fumes to advanced treatment systems. Yet the issue remains far from settled, prompting more people to step back and question the entire model of such massive scale. Amid these public showdowns, there's also talk of secret expansions. Reports sometimes emerge that Smithfield might be scouting new locations abroad or forging deals with smaller producers, effectively absorbing them into its global network. For some, that's a sign of unstoppable momentum, a promise that the brand will keep feeding the world. For others, it's proof of an ever-tightening grip on the meat supply, leaving fewer choices for consumers and creating near-monopolistic conditions. Rumors swirl about Smithfield forging alliances with tech companies to enhance biosecurity, or investing in new AI-driven feed systems that tailor rations for maximum weight gain. Nothing is confirmed until official press releases drop, but the speculation alone keeps watchers on their toes. Still, the noise surrounding corporate moves pales in comparison to the debates over animal welfare. In response to intense public scrutiny, Smithfield promised to shift from individual gestation stalls to group housing. This announcement was hailed by some as a step toward more compassionate care, while skeptics saw it as a modest concession that still confines animals in stressful conditions. The transition started years ago, and while company updates detail progress, critics claim actual changes on the ground vary widely across different locations. Worker testimonies occasionally leak, describing cramped barns or a push for efficiency that doesn't always mesh with daily best practices. On the flip side, supportive employees argue they've seen real changes. Animals that can move more freely, less stress-induced behavior, and a company that's more proactive about addressing problems. What truly stokes the fire of public opinion are rumors of hidden camera footage or so-called undercover investigations, where activists claim to reveal the true face of these large-scale farms. Some of these videos show animals living in cramped, unsanitary conditions, while others paint a less dramatic picture that might not fully match activist claims. Legal battles erupt when organizations try to bring these videos to light, And companies push back by saying that the footage is selectively edited or taken out of context. These controversies raise an even bigger question. How transparent should the industry be about its operations, especially if it aims to maintain consumer trust? That question echoes across countless dinner tables, where families debate not only about cost, but also ethics. The push for organic, free-range, or humanely raised meat has gained momentum, challenging giants like Smithfield to pivot their strategies or risk losing market share. Some analysts foresee a future where plant-based alternatives eat into traditional meat's dominance. The sweeping popularity of certain faux meat brands is a wake-up call. Taste and texture are improving every day, and younger consumers often consider these alternatives more ethical and eco-friendly. Yet, the worldwide appetite for traditional meat remains colossal. Could it be that the future belongs to a hybrid approach, where advanced technology and more humane practices converge with new, plant-based or lab-grown meats? In some circles, speculation goes even further. Whispers circulate that Smithfield might eventually diversify into lab-grown meat, using its vast capital to control both conventional production and future cellular agriculture. The company's official statements so far have been measured, acknowledging the potential but not committing wholeheartedly. Still, business pundits see a pattern. Big companies often hedge their bets. So, while they continue to refine cattle restraint systems and supercharge their pork supply lines, they keep an eye on emerging technologies. The day might come when slaughterhouses as we know them become relics of the past, replaced by sleek labs churning out cruelty-free protein. Or it might never happen if consumer preferences don't tip far enough to make it profitable. Environmental concerns remain the wild card. The manure lagoons that blot the landscape in certain parts of the country are under more scrutiny than ever. Severe weather events sometimes cause these lagoons to overflow, unleashing a flood of contamination into surrounding waterways. Local communities have rallied, filing lawsuits and demanding accountability. Smithfield and other meat giants respond by insisting they follow regulations, updating their facilities, and tackling the problem head-on. Independent audits are often cited, showcasing improvements. Still, critics demand that large-scale farms adopt drastically different methods: advanced composting systems, closed-loop waste recycling, or on-farm biogas production. Though some progress has been made, the question remains whether it's enough to mitigate the staggering volume of waste these operations produce daily. This conflict between big business and local communities underscores a broader tension. As demand soars, how do we produce enough food without wreaking havoc on the planet? Technology might help, but controversies over the latest cattle restraint device or the biggest hog farm's odor problems suggest we're far from a unanimous solution. Many consumers find themselves torn, wanting affordable meat yet uneasy about the behind-the-scenes reality. Companies rush to advertise improvements, from better ventilation systems to claims of cage-free housing, but the swirl of rumors and leaked footage keeps the conversation on edge. And it's not just about activism or ethics. It's about public health, environmental justice, and the economic backbone of rural communities that may rely on these megafarms for jobs. As the years pass, more voices enter the fray. Scientists propose new ways to measure animal stress, while doctors discuss the potential for antibiotic resistance arising from large-scale antibiotic use in livestock. Politicians jump into the debate, sometimes clashing over how strictly to regulate an industry that feeds millions and employs thousands. Meanwhile, the public grows wary, bombarded by conflicting narratives. Some are outraged, vowing to stop eating meat altogether. Others remain loyal customers, believing everything is under control, or trusting that any problems are minor. Still more land in the middle, uncertain of what to think. In the midst of all this, Smithfield is just one emblem of the broader industry. It's a name that stands out because of its global reach, towering facilities, and persistent controversies. But it represents a much larger issue of how food corporations balance profits, ethics, and transparency. Automated restraint systems and high-tech stunning boxes become talking points in a grand conversation about humanity's relationship with animals. The more advanced the technology gets, the less it's about a small family farm, and the more it turns into a vast engineering puzzle. And as that puzzle grows more complex, we're left wondering, does the progress we see on the surface truly address the moral dilemmas at the heart of meat production? Doubts, speculation, and rumors never cease. Some employees have anonymously stated that within a few years, new expansions will push production rates even higher, possibly up to 100 or more cattle per hour in certain modernized plants. Others claim that new and improved DGS or Pastello-like systems will drastically reduce visible signs of stress. If those rumors prove true, the PR headlines might crow about yet another breakthrough in humane handling. Opponents, however, worry that such expansions only intensify the ethical challenges. After all, scaling up often magnifies any existing issues. If an operation with 10,000 animals has a contamination slip, it's a problem. But if that operation runs 30,000 or 50,000 animals, the same slip can erupt into a region-wide disaster, harming entire ecosystems. Then, there are the ongoing whispers about infiltration by investigative journalists or activist groups. Documentaries claim to expose what the corporate press releases leave out. These films often center on hidden camera snippets, showing everything from workers straining under intense quotas to questionable handling practices. Industry representatives maintain that such footage is selectively edited, pointing to official inspection records that paint a more positive picture. The result is a stalemate. Each side dismisses the other's evidence as biased, leaving the general public to decide what to believe. But it's precisely this uncertainty that keeps the conversation alive and keeps viewers clicking on the next video that promises some new bombshell revelation. Despite the swirl of controversies, there's no denying that global demand for meat is enormous. As some markets like China and India experience rising incomes, meat consumption is projected to keep climbing. In response, companies continue to ramp up production methods, investing heavily in advanced breeding programs, high-tech feed solutions, and data analysis that tracks everything down to how many steps a pig takes before finishing. Smithfield's vertical integration model, controlling every stage from genetics to packaging, might just be the blueprint for the entire industry, if scale remains the top priority. Yet that level of control also invites blame whenever something goes wrong. If you oversee every step, then every problem is your responsibility as well. The clash between massive corporations and rural communities is particularly sharp in places like North Carolina, where hog farming is deeply woven into the local economy. Jobs depend on these facilities, yet the same operations can reduce quality of life with odor and waste issues. The tension isn't easily resolved. Some propose new technology for odor control, while others say the only real solution is smaller farms and alternative business models. Still, practical obstacles remain. Scaling down might lead to higher consumer prices, fueling complaints about affordability. As usual, the debate circles back to a classic question: how do we feed billions of people with limited resources while respecting the planet and the creatures on it? From an outsider's perspective, it might seem hopelessly complex. But on the inside, many individuals, executives, farmers, and activists genuinely believe they're working toward a more ethical future. Smithfield's announcements about improved housing for pigs or the adoption of certain antibiotic-free processes are lauded as progress by some. Others retort that these measures are too little, too late, pointing to continued litigation over waste or alleged struggles with ensuring worker safety. And overshadowing all these smaller arguments is a vast question about the future of food production itself. Will new technology like CRISPR gene editing lead to animals less prone to stress or disease? How might robotics change the daily routines of scraping manure or administering vaccines? Perhaps we'll see farmland dotted with robotic drones that monitor animal health in real time. The possibilities are endless, but so are the moral and environmental dilemmas that accompany them. Some worry that focusing too heavily on futuristic tech might overshadow simpler solutions like smaller farms, improved crop rotations, or local food systems that don't rely on cross-continental supply chains. Then there's the consumer angle. As more people become aware of controversies, do they pressure companies by shifting their buying habits? Or does the convenience and cost of industrially produced meat win out in the end? Smithfield, Pastello systems, and DGS boxes are just parts of a vast tapestry that extends around the globe. Each development, whether it's a new style of manure lagoon cover or an expansion of a megaplant, sends ripples through local communities, financial markets, and the broader cultural debate on how we treat animals. The fact that these companies and technologies have grown so large means that their decisions carry enormous weight for everyone, not just the farmers and their flocks or herds. Ultimately, whether you see the march of automation in livestock handling as a positive transformation or a chilling step toward devaluing animal life, it's impossible to ignore. The tools keep evolving, with promises of safety, speed, and cleanliness. But the undercurrent of controversy remains. Investigations continue, lawsuits pile up, and communities voice concerns. Shareholders demand growth, pushing expansions that sometimes clash with local realities. Meanwhile, animals remain at the center of it all, whisked through state-of-the-art systems that are as impressive as they are unsettling to many observers. When all is said and done, the biggest revelations might still be on the horizon. Perhaps a new wave of legislation will force stricter guidelines, or a series of high-profile scandals will pressure the industry to adopt radically different methods. For now, people watch from the outside, some trusting official statements about animal care and environmental stewardship, others hunting for evidence of wrongdoing. In truth, both extremes might be oversimplifying a multi-layered situation. As with any major industry, there are good actors and bad, promising innovations and lingering dangers. The problem is that everything happens on such a monumental scale that even small lapses can lead to enormous harm. But a question lingers. Is there a path for genuine reconciliation between large-scale meat production and the ethical and environmental demands of our time? If billions rely on affordable protein, can we truly overhaul the system so it protects both animals and communities? Or is it inevitable that controversies and expansions will march forward in tandem, fueling each other in an endless cycle of progress and backlash? In the end, the conversation rarely finds closure. It's an ongoing saga filled with new technologies, evolving controversies, and a planet trying to balance its appetite with its conscience. Smithfield's vertical integration, Pastello's intricate restraint modules, DGS's advanced stunning solutions, and daily manure management might all be steps along a winding road. With every innovation, more questions surface. And as the industry looks to the future, eyeing new acquisitions, exploring lab-grown alternatives, or refining group housing, it seems likely that the push and pull of ethics, profits, and public scrutiny will only intensify. So, after hearing about the controversies, expansions, technological breakthroughs, and the very real concerns of those living near these massive facilities, one has to wonder, what will the world of meat look like in 5, 10, or 20 years? Will the lines between technology and tradition blur so thoroughly that we accept robotics and automation as just another stage in human progress? Or will we find ourselves forced to reconsider the entire system as environmental pressures and ethical debates reach a breaking point?